even if you know what this is. All right, everybody knows what it is. I mean, frankly, I just love watching this. It's Saddam Hussein being hung. But who would have imagined the guy would have whipped out a cell phone during one of the most significant historical events in the past 20 years, and a half hour later it would have been up on the net? Unimaginable, but this is the new reality. Now, let's talk about obvious sources. Sources that I, as an investigator, use many times a day, and I thank you for contributing to. All self-contribution of data. Obviously, MySpace, number one. MySpace will tell me your name, your age, where you live, where you went to school, who your friends are, which I have to tell you is a wonderful thing for an investigator because I can go and interview them. Your musical tastes, books, friends, residences, hobbies, children, parents, siblings, and politics, drug use, sexual orientation, criminal history, email addresses, finances, which I can't believe. Personal conflicts, psychological problems. Now, a few truly ridiculous examples. This is a real web page. You can go and look it up through the MySpace search engine, unless she's in this room and running out the back door and yanking it down. I mean, this is actually, now by the way, this is a public web page. I covered her face because she's 17 years old. And people make, as you can see, remarkably stupid mistakes when they're 17. And this is being immortalized. I can't see where the camera is, but this will be out on DVDs by tonight, so I didn't want her face up there. But as you can see, the caption of this page is, I'm a big badass slut and I love sucking. I won't say it. Let's try to keep this a PG DVD. The thing that cracks me up is she says her current state is sleeping and she's happy. Probably because she spent all night. You see, that's why I got picked up by the feds. And people put up there on their web pages drug use. Here's Ganja Girl, who gives her name, where she lives. Her interests are hanging out with friends, partying, i.e., if you don't know what partying is, i.e., drinking, getting high, and weird kinky sex. She's bisexual, a Pisces, a graduate of Hiles-Anderson College, and the manager of the pizza factory. Okay. Maybe not the manager of the pizza factory anymore, but pretty remarkable she put that up there. Any ringing cell phone gets confiscated. Where's my security team? I want that. Now, this is a hilarious one. The guy puts his name up there. He's 19 years old. The motto is just effing kill yourself. He gives his name, his date of birth, where he's from, his background, and what's his plans? He plans to become a police officer. Oh, here's another guy. As you can see, he's pointing a shotgun into the camera. He gives his name, his date of birth, his city, his state. He says he currently smells like gunpowder and Axe body spray. He's a detention officer. And when it says, tell us about your family, he says, what family? Okay. Oh, by the way, I gave a talk at Cal Poly Pomona, and at the Secure IT conference, I gave an example of how easy social engineering is these days when you can get the entire background on somebody. And before I gave the talk, the local organizer said, try to find something, specifically about our school so people can relate to it. Well, here's the Cal Poly Pomona Stoners. And their reason for existence is, if you go to Cal Poly Pomona or live nearby, you love the herb, and you're down for group sessions, you need to join this group. Sadly, the day after I gave the talk, every single one of the people on this page were arrested. Now, yeah, really true, really true. It was either the day after or 2 days after. And I got a lot of nasty emails, to which I responded two things. Number one, you're a moron, you put it on MySpace. And number two, I can't believe that campus security hasn't heard of MySpace. Not everything on MySpace is funny. Here's a poor girl who lost her child, and I've blacked out some of this. I took down her name and her date of birth, and she put her parents' full names up there and her three sisters' names up there, and she says, my name is so-and-so, I'm 18 years old, and she talks about how she lost her child because she was physically abused. Gives all of her personal details, her photo, and frankly, the most intimate detail of her life. And I put this up here because it's an example of what's acceptable these days. This is why things have changed, because self-contribution of data has changed. Here is Rainey DeMalco. Rainey DeMalco says, and she gives her name and her place of birth, and she talks about being abused by her parents, she talks about being pimped out, she talks about beating somebody to death with a rock. Pretty remarkable. Now, I don't know if this is a real page or not. I think it probably is. I've put this up here because it's a current page, and you can verify it. If I was putting up all the pages I've seen, there's a worse page that I've seen where a girl talks about being sexually abused when she gives her name and her date of birth and city, state, like this, and she talks about being sexually abused as a child. And all of her details, and talks about being pimped out by her uncle and contracting AIDS, and it says, there's a space where it says, what do you want the most? And she says, having sex with my father one more time, so my AIDS can kill him. And that's something that somebody felt comfortable putting up on MySpace. Here's a MySpace group of people who have been raped. They put up their names, they put up their photos, for example. If you look at the center one, Odd Girl, very easy to identify her. These are people who talk about being raped and give all their details. You know, little sobering, but this is the current state of affairs. There is no more sense of privacy, not because it's been ripped away from you in some Orwellian way, but because you flushed it down the toilet. And again, as an investigator, thank you very much. Facebook, Friendster, Bebo, all the same. And by the way, all of these sites and MySpace give me one of the three holy grails of an investigator, which we're going to talk about. Number one, your photo. Used to be impossible to get. Now it's a joke to get it. I remember when I first started as an investigator, I would pay sources at the DMV, or I would pay people at the PD up to $500 for your driver's license photo. So when I was watching your house, I'd know who the right guy coming in and out was. Now I just have to go to MySpace. Second thing, your location. Before this is over, you're going to see how I can find your current location without leaving my desk. And the third is, who do you know? Who has inside, intimate information about you that I can interview? Holy grail number 3. Thanks to the net, no problem. I know everybody you've gone to school with, classmates. I know everybody you hang out with. I know everybody who you consider a close friend. Oh, and by the way, so I don't have to go to the trouble of actually going to 3 websites, you put it all on one website. Now let's talk about some of the people who actually make money off of knowing all of this information about you. I'm not even going to ask you who uses Amazon, because the answer is everybody in this room, unless you're the Unabomber and living in the woods without a computer. But think for a second about what Amazon knows about you. They know where you live, where you work. They know about your finances. They know what you like to read. They know what music you like to listen to. They know every interest of yours, every like, every dislike, all of the things that make you, you. Essentially, they've got a database of everybody in America's soul. Do I want to know Are you Jewish, for example? If I'm an anti-Semite and I want to make a database of Jewish people, no problem. Just look at the books that people order. Are you gay? You're going to buy a certain type of book or a certain type of video for sure. Do you have an interest in Belize? Well, you've probably bought a guidebook on Belize. Do you like to listen to Bob Marley? You've bought a tape or a CD or whatever, a Bob Marley tape or CD. Anything that there is to know about you, I can extrapolate out from what you do on Amazon. And even if you don't buy it, by the way, if you're logged in, they cache your search history. Let me give you an example. I am, thank God, in perfect health. But a little old lady lives down the hall from me in my apartment house, said, you know, I know you have a computer. I can't really get out. I need a book on alternative methods of dealing with kidney problems. You know, can you look on the internet and see, is there a book that deals with, you know, drinking berry juices and that sort of thing, herbal remedies, and buy the book, and I'll pay you back for it. And I said, sure, and I did that, and I got her the book. Now, whenever I log on, they recommend to me books on kidney care and kidney cancer and herbal remedies and whatever. eBay, PayPal, and Skype. Okay, again, reflect for a moment what they know about you. They know where you live, where you work, everything about your finances, including your bank account, every single thing that you've ever expressed interest in, bid on, who you talk to on the phone, where you are a good part of the time, because when you log on, when you use the Skype system, when you use, and especially if you're going to be using it over the iPhone soon, you know, pretty much everything there is to know about you. And by the way, eBay, PayPal, and Skype, it's the same company in case you didn't know. Now, let's talk about what I like to call subpoena target number one. I usually give this talk to law enforcement groups. And the purpose of this talk for most law enforcement officers is to know what's out there so they can subpoena it and get your records. Or if they're federal agents, just write a national security letter and it has to be turned over. But either way, to get it. Welcome to Skynet. Google. If you don't take anything else away from my talk today, here's what I need you to take away. Google is a private company that you have no control over. You have no right and no ability to influence what they gather about you and what they do with that information. And the truth is, most people, when they think of Google, they think of a great utility that solved all the problems of finding things on the internet a few years ago. That's all they think about. Well, Google is photos, Google's is blogs, media, every newspaper, every article. Gmail, how many people here use Gmail? Every single person in the room, with a tiny number of exceptions, raised their hand. Do you know that your email is searched by bots? Of the people who raised their hand, how many of you know that your email is searched, indexed, and categorized? Okay, now, no, leave your hands up. How many of you care? None of you. But now the same people, how many of you would be running out and hiring a lawyer if somebody was opening the mail at your mailbox, reading it, pasting it back shut, and putting it back in the box? Every single one of you. Much worse, but you don't get it, or you don't care. And they read every single email. Google Chat. Maps. Let me tell you, if you do a Google Map search on 123 Main Street, they know Bob is interested in 123 Main Street. Everything that you do has significance. Google products, frugal they call it. If you look something up, again, your likes and your interests. not only does Google know everything there is to know about you, but it knows where you are a good part of the time, it knows who you hang out with,